Have you ever felt like you're running as fast as you can, but staying in the exact same place? For many men, the dream of financial freedom feels like a distant shore that never gets any closer no matter how much effort you put into your daily grind. You have the hunger to grow and the desire to find true purpose, yet you feel trapped by a paycheck that barely covers the life you are currently living. Real estate is often sold as a quick escape or a path to easy money, but without a clear map, it easily becomes a cage that locks you into more debt. If you want to stop trading your time for a survival wage and start building a legacy, you have to move with logic and discipline. Moving with logic means you treat every property like a business. From the very first second you look at a listing, most people make the mistake of buying their first home based on how it makes them feel, which leads them to stretch their budget thin until they are stuck. You should use your money strategically so it works for you, rather than trapping you in a house you can barely afford. House hacking is the best first strategy for beginners because it flips your mindset from a consumer to a strategic owner. You buy a property with logic first and rent out a room or a portion of the space so someone else helps you pay most, if not all of your mortgage. This one decision allows you to save your income faster, build equity in an asset, and position yourself for your next move. A successful house hack depends on choosing a property that is durable and predictable rather than just exciting. For your first rental, boring is your best friend because it represents stability. You are looking for an entry-level single-family residence that is located in a safe, working-class neighborhood. These properties should have simple layouts like a 3-2, 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. You want a house that does not require a heavy rehab because large renovations projects often hide costs that destroy the momentum of a beginner. Make sure you look for properties with large enough parking space. So if you rent a portion of your house, your new tenants have their own private access to the portion of the property they're renting. I've seen many people buy properties with detached garages and they convert the garage to living space and rent that entire section as well. Your goal is to provide a property that provides steady cash flow and the property is easy to maintain. Steady cash flow only exists if the numbers work on paper before you buy the property. If the math is broken on the day that you sign the contract, it will stay broken after you own it. Beginners typically fail because they want a deal to work so badly that they often overlook the numbers. They use the highest rent comps they find online and typically forget about things like vacancies or regular repairs. They make the deal work in their head instead of working on a paper. You must be disciplined enough to use realistic market rentals and factor in real compensations rather than the best case scenario. If the property only works in a perfect market, it is not a good first rental. To keep your investment alive, you must underwrite 5 specific numbers every single time you evaluate a deal. You start with a realistic rent and subtract the full cost of the mortgage, interest, taxes, insurance. Then you want to subtract at least 5 to 10% of a dedicated budget for ongoing repairs and capital expenditures. If these numbers do not leave you with a clear margin of at least $300 to $500 on a cash flow, you should pass on the deal. Now, of course, these numbers are very vague, and I recommend you talking to a lender to give you actual numbers on a potential loan amount that you're looking for. You want to buy a property for durability and steady performance, not for the hope of appreciation. If a deal depends on appreciation to work, it is a gamble rather than an investment. True safety comes from having a massive cushion of cash because rentals do not fail because of one bad month. They fail because the owner had no cushion to absorb the hits. You must keep at least 6 months of full mortgage payments in a separate account at all times. You also need a dedicated repair fund of $5,000 to $10,000 and a buffer for vacancies. By having reserves, it allows you to stay calm when a tenant doesn't pay rent or they have to move out or evict them. I literally made an entire video of evicting a tenant and you should have seen how they left the property. I spent at least $5,000 just to bring it up to good conditions. If I didn't have a cushion of reserve, I would have been stressing, but the fact that I was prepared in advance, I was able to absorb the pain of dealing with that eviction. One of the most expensive repairs that can destroy your cash flow is HVAC systems. New investors often forget that replacing an AC unit can cost between $6,000 to $12,000. And if the AC goes out during summer, you have to make sure you get it fixed immediately because you're going to have problems with your tenant. This one repair can wipe out an entire year's of cash flow. The roof is a second major category that destroys your margins because it cannot be optional. If you have leaks during a rainy season, it can damage more things. So this is another thing that you have to fix immediately. So before you purchase a property, you want to make sure you hire somebody to conduct an inspection for you. They can check things like your AC, your roof, plumbing, electrical, foundation, and now you have more of an idea of what repairs are going to be needed. There's a lot of people that you can hire to conduct professional inspections for whatever matter you have. And if the AC unit is more than 15 years old, you must budget for it because replacing it is inevitable. Managing the property yourself is the best way to learn these lessons for the first time. You need to experience the reality of dealing with tenants, problems, late payments, so you understand what ownership feels like. This hands-on experience protects you from being taken advantage of by contractors or management companies. When you get started, you should buy a property that is local to you, ideally within an hour of drive. Being local allows you to manage the property and the tenants effectively to avoid big losses. Once you scale to more than 15 units, professional management starts to make sense because your time becomes more valuable. Your success with tenants depends on the ability to properly screen quality tenants. You need a simple checklist that includes verifying net income of at least 3 times the monthly rent. Make sure you confirm their income with paid stub bank statements rather than just taking somebody's word. You also have to look at their patterns with their credit history, such as late payments on utility and prior rents. You also want to make sure you conduct a employment verification, call their prior landlords and ask them questions about how they were as tenants, damages to the property, any late payments, and of course, you want to make sure that you do a background check on anybody that's 18 and over moving into your property. The way a person handles the application process tells you how they will handle their residency. You should watch and see how they show up on time, communicate clearly, and provide organized documents. If the applicant is disorganized during the application process, they will most likely be disorganized when the rent is due. And the most important final step for me is to meet the applicant in person once I decide to move forward with them. Whether it's a video phone call or meeting the family in person, I want to shake their hand, get to meet them, because you can really understand who they are and if they're going to be good applicants for you. And once you're done with that process, you want to make sure that you use a strong lease agreement. You can use Zillow. Zillow has a lease agreement that you can literally follow their template and it'll make it for you. Or you can find one online. You want to make sure you collect the full deposit and the first month of rent. And remember, you cannot charge the last month of rent in California anymore. There are some new laws that apparently prevent you from charging it. Do your own research, but that's what I figured out. Right before you hand over the keys, you want to make sure you conduct the final walkthrough with the applicants. So what this means is you'll walk the facility with them, you'll take pictures of any potential repairs that you have to make or issues that they bring up. And once you completely finish that walkthrough, you'll both sign the final walkthrough document. And at that point, you give them the keys so they can move in. The first 30 days after you close escrow on the new property you purchase are for stabilizing the asset so it can perform. During the first week, you inspect the roof, plumbing, and electrical systems from top to bottom. You change the locks immediately and address every safety-related issue. In the second week, you'll handle cosmetic fixes and perform a deep clean to make the property rent-ready. Professional photos and a clean presentation will help you attract higher quality tenants. By the third week, you'll list the property at a realistic price and begin your screening process. Week 4 is for signing the lease and walking tenants through the property expectations. In the next 24 hours, you should not look at properties. You should look at your own life. You need to ask yourself if you are financially ready and where you are right now. You must decide which strategy fits your specific position, whether that is house hacking or a simple buy and hold or waiting to increase your income first. Clarity must come before you choose a strategy. Growth happens when you stop acting on emotions and start following a disciplined plan that values margins over excitement. If you buy with discipline and keep your reserves high, you can ride out any storm and wait for the results to show. The path to finding your purpose and growing your wealth is built on these small logical steps. Real estate is not a mystery. In fact, it is a math problem that requires you to be honest with yourself about the risk. When you stop chasing the perfect deal and start looking for the durable deal, you gain control over your future. You no longer have to feel stuck because you have a system that works regardless of what the market does. This is how you move from being a man who wishes for change to a man who creates it. Take the first step today by auditing your finances and deciding that you'll never let emotions overrule the numbers again.